Okay, so good evening, and Fridays are an unusual evening. I've never actually done a lecture on Fridays. So, all of my classes are on Thursday, so this is the first Friday class that I've done in my whole university life. and, so it's a strange feeling. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at remember last week we started giving an overview, about strategic management, what it is, its phases. So this is a continuation. So we want to look at understanding strategy, vision, mission, strategic intent. So everybody should know the understanding part. And then the vision, mission, everybody should know, all you should know vision and mission. Strategic intent, you might not. So I just focus a bit on strategic intent. I'll move quickly in vision and mission. And then I want to go into the part looking at ethics and corporate social responsibility, because that is becoming very big in businesses today. And the issue of corporate social responsibility, and so that businesses don't think that their only responsibility is to make a profit. And so today we're going to look at those areas, and there are a number of videos, a set of videos that I look at, a kind of a case study for us to engage discussion, both from looking at the business model. I want to touch on some business model videos, and we'll speak a bit about the whole concept of a business model, and then we'll look at ethics in different cultural environments and the importance of ethics in business. And then obviously around the world, ethics is one of those value-driven or culturally driven things. So as they tell you in Africa, taking a bribe is normal and it's parts of Latin America. So if you're doing business with someone and there's no bribe involved, they want to know, you're not serious. So it seems strange, but in Africa it's that. You're doing big business. Is expected. If you want this contract, you've got to give a bribe. And the society, people accept it. So
now we call it the finder's fee.
You call it, right, finder's fee, right? The finder's fee, right? But so people expect, to be paid good sums, especially if they're $1 million contracts, you see. So, but in other parts of the world, Western Europe, in North America, if you're found out, especially when they're related to government, you could be jailed, for a lot of years. So culturally, different regions have different perspectives of what is ethical, or the whole issue of corporate social responsibility is something that we would look at. And then Robin Hood, we want to look at Robin Hood. As I said, what I try to do in these master's classes, not do too much teaching that. I mean, you have a knowledge base and a set of knowledge and experiences you bring. So we'll look at Robin Hood as a basis for analyzing a kind of strategic planning case. And we'll look at Robin Hood from a strategy perspective. I hope you had time to read it. And we'll also look at those videos. And then in the latter part, if you can wrap up 7:30, I'll try to do that. In the latter part, we'll look at your coursework essay, because you already have the essay. So we'll look at the coursework essay and maybe give you some tips in the beginning to look at that, at least prepare, because you have to do your literature search, go on the databases or go in the library. So we'll talk a bit about preparing the essay. So you start to do it now, work bit by bit instead of waiting for the last minute to cram. And then the group case will be, we want to talk a bit about that too, beginning preparation for the group case. So any questions? Everybody's comfortable? Right. So those are the things, as I said, we want to look at. So these are some key terms. Right? So Rory, from last night, you would have benefited from this when we were looking at the link between strategy and HR. So these are some key terms in strategic management, which is at the strategy level. These terms in strategic planning are going to be permeating the course. The issue of competition, that in open economies, the reality is that there must be competition to have this open market economy. So the issue of competition, competitiveness, and competitive advantage in particular, and sustainable competitive advantage, we need to be able to know what they are, and the factors that drive competitive advantage, right? So if we ask that, what would you say, Xavier? What drives competitive advantage? What allows a business to gain competitive advantage?
A unique value proposition.
Right, a unique value proposition. Where does that come from? What is the basis for this value proposition? Rory, you want to add to that? What's the basis for this value proposition?
So it's your the capabilities that give you that kind of distinctive advantage?
Right. So some unique capabilities.
And we know that obviously the human resource is an important one, but
Right.
you can also come from, as you mentioned, the other types of things where you have technology, especially that you have certain things patented,
Right. So the proprietary assets.
because those legally can't even be replicated anyway.
Right. So the proprietary asset in itself,
Replicate.
right, could fall within the RBV. Resources that are rare, not easily imitated, not easily substituted. So a proprietary asset is that. You can try to do it, and if you steal, we can put you in court. You've got to pay us a lot of money. Then the distinctive competencies can fall in that category. So it's unique capabilities. But for the value proposition, actually, that's interesting you said that, Xavier, because what we're going to talk about today, the value proposition, is a critical part of the BM, which is the business model. So one of the videos we have that we show today, the guy talks about the importance of the business model, and different organizations have different business models, but built within that is the concept of the value proposition, and different companies will have different value propositions, whatever that may be. Right? So when we get to the business model aspect, we'll look at that. But the key point I'm saying is strategic planning. What drives it? Companies are operating in a competitive environment. Why are they operating in a competitive environment? Because it's an open market economy. So what causes business to have to compete? What causes business to have to do a strategy? And the point we're saying, this model of the environmental business helps us to understand why. Because in that environmental business, you have competitors, you have suppliers, you have buyers, you have government, you have labor market forces, you have technological challenges, you have global challenges, you have economic pressures. So all of these things cause the company to want to plan. Right? And that's what the planning is about. Responding. The point I want to make here, folks, the whole process of strategic planning and management is to respond to a changing environment. Right? Another fundamental concept we need to know. That this changing environment drives businesses to constantly, well, the wise businesses and those that are successful. That makes sense, Xavier? Right, Rory?
Yep.
Right. So they said, and so businesses want to be competitive, and also you want to get a competitive advantage, Xavier, because why do even small businesses want to gain a competitive advantage?
Okay.
Why do small businesses, big businesses want to gain a competitive advantage?
Yeah, our customers encourage customers.
They encourage, but a little more than just encouraging customers.
But I mean, it's the competitive advantage is the only way to really survive, because not only do you need to ensure that you are attracting customers where others aren't, but you got to make sure that you're doing it at
Right. So when I have the advantage, it means that I am
likely to have greater market share.
right, and I'm preferred, and because I am preferred, people will come to me, and the more people that prefer me, my market share will increase. You understand? So it's less pressure on me, other people are following me, because I'm the leader. I have the competitive advantage. If I lose my competitive advantage, I am struggling to track to follow up to the market leader. You understand what I'm saying? Okay? If I have the competitive advantage, people are struggling to catch up to me. And as you said, Rory, once I maintain and sustain my competitive advantage, eventually I will have a substantial portion of the market share. Right? And once I start to get a substantial portion of market share, and I'm market leader, or one of the market leaders, it puts me in a very positive position. If I lose that, whoever takes over, I am trying to catch up to follow they're playing the lead. Right? So when I advertise, and I'm the market leader and I have the competitive advantage, people are more attracted to what I have. And then the thing about if it is good, what do people say in marketing when people know your product is good? What happens when people know your product is good and they experience your product? What happens? What do they do? They tell others who tell others, and when they experience it. So after a while, the popularity of the product builds its own momentum. You can do your advertising, but the word of mouth. People who have experienced it, right? And especially in restaurant and food environments, there's a lot of word of mouth. You go there, I can tell it tastes good. So when somebody tells you, I went there, they are but they are at the top, it's better than somebody, you reading it online, they are at the top. You see the difference? Reading it online, that they are at the top. Here, what people say is different to somebody that you know telling you, I've been there. But anybody can go online and somebody and pretend, you don't know if it's true or not. You know, it could be that they experience it, or they're being paid to say these kind of things. So you say anything that a firm does especially well compared to rivals, and that's the point I'm making. If it is especially well compared to rivals, there's a greater preference for me because I stand out. And the emphasis is on especially well, not just well, especially well. And that's where we're getting into the realm now that you're having unique capabilities as you mentioned before. And a sustainable competitive advantage, remember we said here, adapting to changes in the external trends and internal capabilities and resources. So as external pressures are there or external opportunities, you can take advantage of the opportunities and you can adequately respond to the threats. And internally, the company is making these adjustments. That's all it is saying here. Companies that succeed and use strategic planning and management well are doing one simple thing. As issues happen in the environment, they're internalizing and making the right decisions in terms of how they utilize their resources and capabilities in a very simplistic form. Everybody, that makes sense to everybody? Right. And I'm sure you would live, when you think about working in organizations, you realize some people do it well and some people don't do it well. And the ones that don't do it well will lose customers. The ones that do it well will be able to begin to be more sustainable. And these are the 3 stages of strategic management, which you should know well: strategy formulation, strategy implementation, and strategy evaluation. So this is just basically saying that there are 3 key things that you can focus on when you want to gain this advantage: price, quality, and quantity. And the price is you're giving people value for money. When people pay for your services or goods, that they feel whatever price I pay is value for money. And the quality deals with the issue of efficiency, well use of resources, and all of those things. And then quantity, are you meeting the demands of the market? And that's all the strategic planning and management will focus on, some of these critical things. Right? So in terms of price, depending on what part of the market you are or how many segments you are in the market, the price might be very high, price might be moderate, or price might be low. So you can have one company actually operating at different levels in the market. I think Samsung does a very good job of that. Some low-end phones, some middle-level phones, and then the S8, the really high premium phones where it's competing with Apple. So I don't know if you heard Apple. Apple is a very interesting company. But when you listen to the numbers, it defies common sense about business and what they're trying to achieve. So they say they made $88 billion in revenues, in sales, right? $88 billion, $20 billion profit, and the headline is, but they're concerned about sales. Now, this is greed. I don't know if it is greed. I try to assess it, right? I try to assess if it is greed. You know, you had 88 billion in sales, right? That's money you collected revenues, and you made 20 billion in profits. But the caveat is, but management concerned about the sales of the iPhone, right? Wow. Yes, Rory. But that's in the youth belt, yeah. But no, all of them do that. Finally, even small businesses and all even do that. You get creative accountants and things like that, you know. But the point I'm saying, you know, so most likely in their business model and their goals and strategies, the shareholders maybe have told them we want a 30% or 25% in return on investment. You know, so if your investors and shareholders, you know, say we're going to put more money in your company and buy up shares. I mean, because the share value of the company is very high. So maybe the shareholders and the board, you know, would have stipulated an extremely high return on investment that they're demanding. You know, we're the board and we want a very high return on investment. So in order for the board members and shareholders to get really a big return on investment, them profits better be big. Because you still have enough, you know, to reinvest for expansion of plant. So I can only assume the pressure is coming from the boardroom, that they want to be able to make sure that when they go to the shareholders, the board itself, that they can argue we are getting a pretty high rate of return on investment. So, yes.
With Apple, I was reading recently where they're saying one of the ways they kind of maintain a competitive advantage is they maintain a flexibility in changing their business model because they don't own much real estate and they don't own many factories.
Yeah.
They lease them and they rent them. So at any point they can say, okay, that contract is done and they don't have the burden of all this real estate that they have to sell off. So they kind of, despite them being massive, they're actually quite nimble.
They're lean, right? Lean but massive, right? Yeah. But they say that in fact, there's an argument that the powerful organizations of the future are not going to be these massive 30-story buildings and 80,000 staff. They're going to be very lean, very small organizations, but powerful and wealthy, with contractual and subcontractual relationships all over the world, but very lean and very powerful and very wealthy. I don't have a problem with that, folks, because it means. No, but I'm saying that it provides opportunity for Caribbean people. That you can have people in the Caribbean with small operations, global, and being very wealthy. You see, small, lean, and have appropriate technologies and appropriate goods and services that you can market. So your market is to go in the world and not necessarily the Caribbean. You see, so it's good that you don't have to be big and massive and a big multi-billion-dollar infrastructure. You can be lean and powerful, you see. So it gives us a hope, the Caribbean, that we can be wealthy people also. So this is the point we're making here. Competitive advantage based on distinctive competencies where resources are rare, not easily imitated, substituted, and valuable. And that is grounded in the resource-based view. And remember, we said, Rory, the resource-based view is based on the premise that.
Sorry, I've been, since yesterday, I've been confused with this RBV because I don't see what a V comes in.
Resource-based view.
Oh, okay, so I thought it was an acronym for the.
No, resource-based view, RBV. Resource-based view, right? Yeah. Resource-based view, RBV.
Now I get it.
Right. And it's literally that. It is that strategy is built on your internal resources, whereas the IO, the industrial organization approach, is based on, and Porter and all of those are externalists, that the external forces are the best way for you to gain a competitive advantage. Hence, you focus on the competitors, the substitutes, the buyers, the suppliers, and you focus on the political, economic, cultural, and all of those forces. And once you're able to respond to those, you're better able to develop strategies to gain the advantage. Whereas the internalists now, based on the resource-based, you argue, no, yes, you consider the external factors and forces, but your resources, internal resources, by focusing on them consciously to develop your strategies around these unique competencies or capabilities and proprietary assets. So develop proprietary assets and build them around these unique and distinct capabilities and competencies. And once you then focus and marry them with the external forces, you've got a powerful combination. So it's just where you start. I mean, so one begins within and the other begins outside. Okay? And then strategic intent, this is a term Thompson and Strickland in their book on strategic management, which is an extremely good text, but when we used it about 10, 12 years ago, it cost nearly $500. It's really top notch. I think it's a better text than David, but nobody here can afford to buy it. It's very big. Thompson and Strickland. If you go online, you can hit and find it, but extremely, just too expensive to bring here. Students really just could not afford it. Okay? And that was 10, 12, 14 years ago. It was nearly $400 for this textbook. But they're come up with this concept of strategic intent, and that's the relentless pursuit of ambitious strategic objectives and concentration of competitive actions and energy. So Rory, what you just said about Apple can also be considered their strategic intent, to be a lean, globally relevant company that targets the high end of the smartphone business. Right? So they have a clear strategic intent. They're not moving from being at the high end. They ain't going down to little cheap things at all. Samsung going to the bottom to the top. Apple saying, no, we can give you a little cheaper version, but it's not cheap. So we're staying at this premium, high value. All right? And so they're targeting the middle. So they're really targeting high income earners. Okay? High income earners are people who want to buy products that high income earners might want. I still see a lot of students around here with iPhones 6 and 5 and 7s and everything, so they must have some sort. So at least already get these phones from these students already at 6, the iPhone 7 and iPhone 6s. Really getting his money right.
Contributions, family,
Wow.
activities, those sorts of
And all kind of activities. Yeah, but that, yeah, but you see, this relentless pursuit means that you're focused on what you have to do to achieve these particular objectives. And you see, you target energy, so there's also a human resource component, right? Competitive energy, actions, and energies to achieve the objectives. Right? Of course, the leaders of the organization will have to sell these concepts for them to work. Everybody knows the vision and mission. The vision is the difference between the vision and mission.
goes through your future, I guess, ideal or plans to become.
Right, what you want to become, and the mission is
Right.
what you will do in order to be able to achieve that. So folks, please know this here by heart by next week. Right? So what you want to become and what your business is, what will you do? So your vision is to become, Apple's vision is to become the #1 smartphone company in the world with all the special apps and other services and the inner technology that is superior. And how they're going to do it? Rory said they don't want this massive company. So in fact, Apple doesn't make phones, doesn't manufacture phones. They outsource, and all different people who can provide the quality they want manufacture the phones for Apple. Right? So their model is a lot of outsourcing, a lot of strategic partners, and a lot of contracting relationship to make sure that the organization is lean and it does not become too big and too cumbersome. So these are 5 key tasks of a CEO that are related to your strategic planning process. That we're saying, ultimately, the CEO of a company, all the literature will tell you, or most of it, is the vision holder. The CEO is the vision holder, and the CEO is responsible for making sure this vision is cascaded. The CEO must first believe in this vision and the mission of the institution. So we say the CEO is the vision holder. Right? And we say critical that you should know. Second objective, so the CEO, even though you delegate, your responsibility is to be strategic, make sure that the organization is constantly monitoring the environment and setting the appropriate or relevant strategic objectives. For crafting strategy, the CEO is ultimately responsible for making sure strategy is crafted, that strategy is implemented, and that strategy is actually evaluated, right? So please know these 5 key tasks that are the responsibility of a CEO involving in strategic management and critical to the process of strategic planning. So these are some different definitions, but this is the one I want to focus on. What is strategy is about how management intends to grow the business, how it will build a loyal clientele and outcompete rivals, how each functional piece of the business will be operated, and how performance will be boosted. Those are some of the key elements of strategy. And I give you another one, that a strategy is a plan or action designed to achieve a specific goal. That's what a strategy is. And the four main elements of strategy, according to Grant, and people have their variations of it, the long-term goals, understanding of the competitive environment, objective appraisal of resources, and the effective implementation of such. He doesn't so much get into the evaluation. Issues of business and ethics, or business ethics and corporate social responsibility. So what is ethics? When you talk about ethics, what are ethics basically? Yes, the essence of ethics is being able to make choices between what is right and what is wrong. But we think that there are some issues. What are the issues? Choosing between what is right and what is wrong. What are the issues?
Sometimes it's not always safe.
That's it. It is culturally laden and relative, depending on which part of the world you are. Right? So what is unethical for one part of the world surely will not be unethical for another part. And a classical example of that is when it comes to corruption and how certain parts of the world, corruption is something that bribes is a normal thing. So when it comes to ethics, it can become complex, right? Depending on whose perspective and whose value system you're talking about. But in essence, it is choosing between what you perceive as right, and I stress perceive, and what is wrong. Right? And we say the core of moral principles and values, and again, values culturally laden, govern the behavior of the person or group with respect to what is right and what is wrong. And here why it had become some of the major issues, folks. Ethical conduct of senior managers. So you just got to remember the Enron, the WorldCom, the Stanfords. I mean, there's a lot of examples of really unethical and really ruthless CEOs and boards that became rich at the expense of a lot of people and left a lot of people who had retired poor. You know, so Enron is one of them cases, you know, where they exploited a lot of poor people, a lot of wealthy people, and they became poor overnight. So you had a lot of wealthy people who were living in upscale condominiums in Florida and up at Target and Walmart packing shelves. You imagine you're living in an upscale $1 million condominium complex, you know, senior citizen home, and you retired for many years and you living off your millions, and you ended up packing shelves in a Walmart and Target at 70-something years old. So some people committed suicide, some just died, some just started over. But you imagine, you retired and in your 60s and 70s, Lisa, and end up broke. And how you end up broke, that you invest money with these people and they open these Ponzi schemes and take up all your money. Stanford is a similar thing. A lot of people end up poor. We can't imagine the pain for them people after working a whole lifetime and retiring in your 70s. I'm saying living upscale, you're upscale, big life, and end up at Walmart. They never work at Walmart in their life. So these are people, accountants and doctors and all, and high-level professionals, end up poor and broke. That's what happened in that scandal, folks. It's really horrendous, actually. So this really, that's why you find from that time corporate social responsibility and ethics in business became a big thing. So a lot of companies now report about their corporate social responsibilities and ethical principles in their annual report. It has become an annual reporting thing now, right? good, and they have this, what they call it, good corporate citizen and corporate citizenship reports. And everybody knows big companies report on their corporate citizenship because a lot was driven by this, the misconduct of senior managers, especially for public companies. If it is a private company, it's just family is okay. But where you have a public company and a lot of people are investing their monies, right? And the time and productivity can be stolen easily, and ethical family values are disappearing. So they're saying the old traditional family values are breaking away. People are becoming a lot very unethical. So as somebody put it, you go in the store, Lisa, and you left your phone, and by the time you turn through that door, it's gone. One thing somebody will say, lady. So that's the way it is, Students, even in lecture, you better know me in a lecture room and lecturing, sometimes even your students are in the same class with you. You leave something and instead of bringing it, they just take it. So that is what it is. So I normally use in my undergrad class, I normally would ask a question for students, right? So Tracy, you are in a big lecture room with 200 students. And at the end of the 2-hour lecture, you were on the phone and everybody left. And when you were leaving, you found a pocket on the ground with $1,000 US. No name, no number. What would you do? So how do you know what it is?
You know what I mean?
How do you know what it
Maybe
is?
somebody may say something.
But suppose nobody says anything.
If nobody will say something, then that's a different story. I think it's secure. You don't know.
So when you give it to security, what do you think security will do?
That's right. I don't even know. They might keep it too, but I don't want it on my heart that I.
So you would give it to security?
Yeah, I would ask him to log it.
Will you get into law and sign something?
Yeah, probably. You was gonna do.
Javier, what would you do?
I would do something else. I would bring it to the next
I would give it to somebody I
Ask
can't.
a question.
And ask who missed the package, not say who wanted
Right.
it.
Right.
Rory, what would you do?
Can I give it to security? In my experience, security keep more than you have to
Right,
report
to
it.
office or something.
You have to report it to somebody whose
Yeah.
income is at a level that it's going to be inconsequential and that they have more at stake to lose if they were ever to be accused of stealing it.
But folks, a lot of people in real life will be challenged. But one student told me, well, sir, I believe in God. And if my rent was due, I would say, Lord, thank you. You understand? Go and the student quote a Bible verse that God will
So
provide
God
the things I
provided
need.
Oh, yeah.
God will provide the things I need. So they will say, Lord, thank you, and I pray I'm doing the right thing. And then we leave the rest to God.
It depends, because if you put that scenario suddenly out in the field where there's no clear possible ownership.
Yeah. Yeah, but I said generally, so nowadays you find it's very challenging for people in need because stealing is a big problem all over the world. Where workers have the opportunity to steal, a lot of them steal.
Recently, someone at a hotel did that.
Yeah, in fact,
10,000 US, this billionaire.
oh my gosh.
He left the
Wow.
safe open,
Yeah.
and the employee, she saw it, and she took it.
Oh my
She didn't turn up to work,
gosh. Wow.
and she terminated her contract. But the billionaire, he said that he don't want to press charges. Maybe she needs it.
You're serious? That's a
That
real life
happened
story?
recently.
Where?
Yeah, like last week
Where?
at a hotel.
Here?
Yes.
I thought you meant overseas?
No, here.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
He has a big heart.
Bigger wallet.
Wow.
Something like that.
And you see, but he might know her too, right?
He's not gonna
Yeah.
press charges because
Wow.
maybe she needs it.
Maybe she needs it. Yeah.
That's what she react, but
It bothered
I think
Yeah.
the hotel probably they can still pursue it.
No, unless he press charge, they can't. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's a personal item, you see, so he would have to press charges.
They had that issue
They were waiting for her to come, the police and things, but she was smart.
she mentioned about it, saying that she was cleaning his room and saw this, this body had this money, snappy safe over, but she didn't say she took the money. It's only until thoughts got around and the police that the money was stolen, so they were like, oh, she took it. She took it.
Yes, Rory.
Listen, they're having a debate on the airwaves in Antigua when one of the soldiers who guards the Prime Minister's house broke into his house and they stole laptop, iPads, a few other things. And the Prime Minister said, it's all right, I'm going to press no charges. And they were saying whether or not the Prime Minister was right to do that.
He should have. And it was a
Like,
guard?
Or whether or not, because some people were saying you should have pressed charges because you're teaching people that it's all right.
Yeah.
It's okay to do that.
I think he should have though, yeah. He should have pressed charges. Even if he said he didn't want to go to jail or something like that, but he should still press charges to send a message, you see. Even if he asked the court to give clemency, that he didn't have to go to jail, but yeah, it could have been sent
That
around.
money will go just as fast as she received it.
No, but you see, but you see, folks, but you know what informs your choice? It's your value system, you see.
Right.
It's your value system. Because I remember I went to a store to buy a phone. I wanted a little cheap phone. And I went to this store. And we were talking, he says, "It was a young guy, exceptionally good in terms of manner, And they had a special sale. You buy one. If a cheap phone costs more than $94, buy one, get one free. Some new brand they introduce it. Right? So I wanted a cheap phone for my Digicel. I have a Digicel account. So I really hardly use it. So if somebody called me on Digicel, I just call them back on this phone. So we talking and the guy I said, "You're excellent, you're really excellent. You had a very excellent man, it was very helpful." So when I bought it, they buy one, get one free. So there was a guy next to me who said, "Boy, you don't want to send me this, I really want another phone." So I tell him, "You want it? Keep it." He said, "You really giving me?" I said, "Keep it, I don't need it." So I gave the other guy the extra phone. And they said, "All right, see y'all later." When they get to university, I said, "Babe, did I pay?" I'm serious. I said, "Did I pay?" I look on my wallet. I did not pay. But I just walk out. They forgot to ask me to pay. But we were talking and I was complimenting the guy on who he was. So I said, "Lord, before they think I'm a big crook on us." And I got to the So I drive right back down to the place and I said, "I come to pay." They said, "Wait, you didn't pay?" I said, "No." But I was more concerned that the people say that I come and steal and go, "No."
And give you a phone.
I'm just saying, buy one, get one free.
He's sweet on it. Having a conversation, so you
But just say, I'm walking to police people think I'm a fraud and they come and set up this whole thing. I said, but this young fella is so good, I suppose he gets fired for this. So I rushed down quick.
Yeah.
That's it, And he said, "Oh God, thank you, boy." They did not even recognize they didn't pay. All right, but folks, you see, the critical thing we're saying about when you look at corporate social responsibility is, if you hire somebody who has no value or moral base related to stealing, you bet that when they get the opportunities they will steal. You understand? You can have all these seminars about all the ethical things. You can send them to all the seminars in the world. But if our core, their value system is, God will provide, if it is there, I will do it. Whenever they get the opportunity, they will steal. And that's the problem with many organizations from the top to the bottom. People are hired to be CEOs, hired to be president, hired to be general manager, hired to be receptionist, hired to be accountant, clerk, even cleaners. And at their core, they have no problem with stealing anything they see.
Is it that way, like, for example, in terms of like CEOs at big companies, they try to curb the negative impact on corporate social responsibility in that how they pay their workers, how they pay the CEOs and top managers. Like if, for example, the company fails, they wouldn't get certain benefits,
Yes.
etc.
And what people, that's a very good point, Lisa, because what they argued, what might have caused that big thing, is that back then, CEOs were on performance-related pay. And a lot of them got paid based on the profitability of the company. And it caused them to do a lot of things that were borderline. So what they would do, cut costs at all costs. Just cut costs, they create artificial profit. So they were cutting the essential. So what, in other words, the business wasn't really growing. It was artificial growth. So many shareholders at the board seeing profits, they think the business is growing. But what these guys were doing, just cutting costs, cutting down departments, reducing staff, and cutting overall costs. And so for 3, 4, 5 years, but eventually the organization will start to go into crisis. But by that time, 4 to 5 years with the performance-related pay, they're wealthy, and then they go, the organization is in crisis. But they say it was driven because of this performance-based pay. So they started actually changing, you're very correct, changing the system of pay that is not so much driven on profitability, but the other factors that they would look at other than just profitability. You see, because if you have profitability, Xavier, as the major benchmark, profits is a function of revenues and costs. So you don't have to increase revenues. If you have $1 billion company or multi-million, all you got to do is reduce costs. And your profit's gone up right away. And that's what they were doing, you see, creating a havoc. And that's why they radically changed things. But they said that it was forcing a lot of them to become, but I wouldn't say it forced to become unethical. I think they were just unethical in the first case. Right? And they saw an opportunity to make money, and they just took the opportunity to make money. Right? So this is one of the areas that I like to put a question in the exam, looking at the issue of corporate social responsibility. So it's something that you could actually look at on your own. We'll pick up next week. So we just end here when I say end the PowerPoint, but I want to just meet with you about the question, preparing your question and the case presentation. So we're saying good business ethics are prerequisite for good strategic management. Meaning, even in your planning, you must make sure you have built-in principles of good business ethics. And that is really where another company started imposing them a code of business ethics. Right? So which we determine, these are the ways in which we behave, these are the things we do, these are the things we don't do once you're working with our organization. You know, they have ethical codes that if breached, you could lose your job. For different organizations would have different ways of doing things, you know, different levels of accountability and responsibilities and things like that. Right? So what we'll do